Welcome back to Sharing Success Secrets. It's your favorite doctor here, Dr. Byron Jackson, known as the Good Doctor. Today, this message primarily is for my college students. You see, I have 3 earned college degrees. I have an earned bachelor's degree, an earned master's degree, and an earned doctor's degree. So I know a little bit about passing classes. I know a little bit about failing tests and also having to retake classes. So this hopefully will be a blessing to you. I want to talk to you about how to pass any class. The first thing you need to do, you need to always be on time. You know, there's one thing that professors really despise, and that's students that are late. You know, nobody likes to kiss up, but you can convey to your professor that their class is important and that you're honoring them by being on time or even a few minutes early. Second thing you can do to pass any class is be on time and don't sit in the back row. I always tell people, sit in millionaire's row. Well, what's the millionaire's row? That's any row except for the back row. You know, when you sit in the back row, there's a lot of distractions. You got the phones going on, the texting, the computer work, people passing notes back and forth. Don't sit in the back row. Sit in the millionaire's row. Sit up front. Sit close to the center. You know, when you sit up close and you sit in the front, you're more plugged in. You know, you're more involved. You're more in tune as to what's going on. The third thing you can do to pass any class is build rapport with your professors. The other thing professors hate more than being late to class is that they hate when students come to them the very last week or days right before the final because they're failing a class. Don't do that. Build rapport beforehand. How would you feel if a complete stranger came up to you, asked you for a favor? If it wasn't a dire emergency, I guarantee you more than likely you'd say no. Well, how do you think your professors feel? They're people just like you and I. So build rapport. You know, I think the best time to meet your professor is the first week of school or the second week of school. Go to their office hours. Shake their hand. Look at them in the eye. Tell them you just want to introduce yourself to them. You want to get a good grade in their class. And tell them what your career goals are. Remember, your professor at one point was a student just like you are. Somebody took out the time to mentor them so that they can reach the level of success that they wanted. And if you do this right, your professor will help mentor you as well. The next thing I want to teach you on how to pass any class is to organize your time. Work your class schedule kind of like a job. You know, right now, the main thing for you should be working class like a job. Don't worry about work. Don't worry about the cars. Don't worry about the parties. Work your classes like a job, meaning make your schoolwork at 8 to 5, meaning from 8 to 5 or from 7 to 5, whenever you have class, until 5 o'clock needs to be your time that you're putting in work. Get in the library. Don't study in your room. It's too many distractions. Put in the time. That way you can have the weekends and the nights to yourself. So now we talked about how to pass any class, but I know what you're thinking. Good doctor, grades already came out. There's no bouncing back for me. I'm going to drop this class. Stop dropping class. That's what soft people do. Stop dropping classes. When you drop class, what you do just simply because of your test scores is that you start to build in your mind a quitter's mentality. Before you know it, you'll start quitting on everything. You'll start quitting on your job. You'll start quitting in your relationships. You will start quitting on everything. If you got to retake the class, but do it with a different approach. Change the method. Don't change the goal. Keep the goal the same. Just change your approach. Change the method. You know, Tony Robbins, one of the best life coaches around, told a story about when he went to go play golf. One day he was knocking them over the water. They were going in hole in one. He was doing a great job. But the next day when he went out to play golf, he noticed that the ball was going every which way except for the right way. You know, the ball was going in the water. The ball was going in the sand. And his coach came over to him. He said, Tony, you're only 1 or 2 millimeters away. He said, what do you mean? Well, he told him, well, look, if you change your shoulder this way, bend your knee this way, and now you hit the ball was going where he wanted to. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you're in the wrong major and that you're taking the wrong class. Maybe you're just off by 1 or 2 little action steps. You know, if you got to take a class over, take it with a different professor. Use a different instructor. Study with a different study group. Use flashcards. There are a variety of different ways that you can study and get the job done. But stop dropping classes. Stop withdrawing from classes simply because you're not doing well in the class. It's your favorite doctor here, Dr. Byron Jackson. I just want to remind you that you breathe the same air as every other successful person. If I did it, you can do it too. You got to understand, you're worth $40 million. How do I know this? Well, I'm a doctor. You can trust me. But no, don't just fall for that. Basically what happened is that they did a study, they did a research article to try to figure out how much is this human body really worth? How much is it worth? How much could you sell your body parts for? Well, they figured out if you could extrapolate each body part, if you could sell your eyes, your nose, your organs, your muscles, your skin, your blood vessels, you would be worth $40+ million. How does that make you feel? Raise your self-esteem. Understand, you're like a sports car going down the street. You're not a beat-up Pinto. You're not a beat-up Hootie. You're a sports car, top of the line. So start acting like it. Treat yourself like you're the best, and others will too. It's your favorite doctor, Dr. Byron Jackson, always encouraging you to do your best and to always strive for excellence because you breathe the same air as every other successful person.